A proposed wage increase for union workers in the city of Cincinnati has turned into a political firestorm. Over the weekend, Local 12 was the first to report there was a complaint filed by the city manager against the Fraternal Order of Police. It's regarding unfair labor practices, saying public comments by the president of the FOP have interfered with wage negotiations. And this morning, City Councilman Wendell Young held a news conference about a complaint that he filed against Mayor Cranley. Local 12's Jeff Hirsch was at the news conference. He joins us live with the latest. And Jeff, you really got to set this up for people so they can follow the back and forth here.
You know, to put it bluntly, it's kind of a mess, to be honest with you. You've got different allegations from different people. So let's deal with the Wendell Young allegations. He filed a complaint with the State Employee Relations Board. Now, Wendell Young is a Democrat like John Cranley. Wendell Young is a former police officer. Wendell Young is a former union member. Young says not against raises for police officers or other union members. He just says these raises should not come at the whim of the mayor. Young was surrounded by community activists, including former council member Jim Tarbell. Young blasted fellow Democratic Mayor John Cranley, saying that Cranley was doing an illegal end run around the city charter because the city manager, Harry Black, is the negotiator. Police officers packed council chambers not long ago when Cranley proposed higher raises for the FOP, higher raises than the city manager wanted to give. Young says the mayor is undermining the city charter, which has served the city well for nearly a century.
I want to be very, very clear because we spent a lot of time talking about unions today. My concern is preserving our charter form of government. My concern is preserving the authority of the city manager. My concern is making certain that politicians do not interfere with the authority of the city manager.
Now, a statement just issued a little while ago by Holly Stutz-Smith, the spokesperson for Mayor Cranley, says that the mayor's actions proposing these raises, those actions are legal. She says that Councilmember Young's complaint is frivolous and will be dismissed, and she says the city can't afford these raises. So this is just an ongoing political process. It is far from over. Live at City Hall, Jeff Hirsch, Local 12 News, back to you.
And Jeff, what do you think the rank and file officer feels about this? They probably just want to raise, or are they saying it's got to go through the channels? Do you have any feel for that?
You know, it's interesting. I asked Wendell Young just that question. As a former police officer, have you heard from some police officers? And he says, look, the police officers have gotten a 1.5% raise over the past 5 or 6 years. He said they want a raise, and they want a bigger raise, and he says he totally understands that. But he says in giving this bigger raise, by doing the end run, as he says, around the city manager, it could destroy the process and ultimately could backfire, he says, against the unions, because what if you have a mayor down the road someday who's anti-union? Then he could come in and try to cut the budget or cut the raises that the city manager want to do higher ones. So, obviously people want more money, but there are implications.
Just hearing the beginning of all this. Thanks, Jeff. We did get a comment from the union. FOP President Dan Hill says the union and its officers are ending up in the middle of a political fight, which has never been their intent. Hill says police officers have only received a 1.5% raise since 2010, and they deserve more.
I understand city administration's responsibility. They have to try to keep a budget in line, and that's important work. But at the same time, the cost of not retaining and keeping the best police officers could result in multi-millions of dollars. Making mistakes out there just doesn't pay. And so, if you want to keep a department that's going to do the very, very best work possible, you're going to have to pay a little bit more for them. And that's all I was trying to do. I wasn't trying to create a political war. It's not my area of expertise.
Hill says police officer morale is suffering because of the current controversy and the low pay raise the past 6 years.